June 2024, inside the high-security corridors of the U.S. Federal Reserve, the air conditioning hums with a clinical, rhythmic vibration. But beneath the surface, a digital pulse is racing. For years, the Fed has been the impenetrable fortress of global finance, the bedrock upon which the world's economy rests. Then, in a single, terrifying flash, the screens flickered. 33 terabytes of the most sensitive financial data in existence, records that could destabilize markets and shatter national security, simply vanished. They weren't deleted, they were locked behind a wall of military-grade encryption. On every terminal from DC to New York, a stark, terrifying message appeared: "Fire your negotiator, $50,000 is insulting." The world knew that signature immediately. It was the crab, the emblem of LockBit, the most prolific and predatory ransomware syndicate in history. At the center of this storm sat one man, Dmitry Khoroshev. To understand how one man could hold the world's most powerful financial institution hostage, you have to go back to a cold autumn in 2019 in Voronezh, Russia. This isn't a city of skyscrapers and neon lights, it's a place of gray concrete and biting winters. In a cramped, nondescript apartment, a 26-year-old programmer named Dmitry sat surrounded by the hum of cooling fans and the glow of 4 high-definition monitors. To his neighbors, he was just another quiet tech worker. To the dark web, he was LockBit Sup, an enigmatic, faceless ghost who was about to rewrite the rules of international crime. Dmitry wasn't interested in the smash-and-grab tactics of amateur hackers. He didn't want to rob a bank, he wanted to own the infrastructure that robbed every bank. Dmitry's stroke of genius was the franchise model. He looked at companies like McDonald's and Starbucks and saw a blueprint for global domination. He realized that a single gang, no matter how skilled, had a limited reach, but a platform could scale infinitely. He spent months coding a masterpiece of malicious software, a ransomware as a service, RAS portal. The concept was simple but devastating. Dmitry would provide the sophisticated malware, the encrypted communication channels, and the negotiation infrastructure. Other criminals, known as affiliates, would do the dangerous work of infiltrating corporate networks. When a victim paid the ransom, the software automatically split the loot. Dmitry took 20% and the affiliate kept 80%. It was the ultimate criminal incentive program. But Dmitry went further. He understood branding and psychology better than most Fortune 500 CEOs. He created a leak site on the Tor network, a wall of shame where victims' names were displayed next to a ticking countdown clock. If the clock hit 0, their secrets were leaked to the world. He even launched a bug bounty program, offering a $1 million reward to anyone who could find a flaw in his code. It was a twisted, dark mirror version of Silicon Valley innovation. He treated his criminal enterprise like a legitimate software company, providing 24/7 technical support for his hackers and even customer service for the victims they were extorting. By 2021, the LockBit franchise had exploded. They were hitting hospitals during the height of the pandemic, shutting down schools, and paralyzing colonial pipelines. A 2022 version 3 of LockBit was unleashed. It was faster, stealthier, and nearly impossible to decrypt without the master key. That summer, they struck Accenture, a global tech giant, demanding a staggering $50 million. The world watched in horror as thousands of documents were dumped online when the company refused to meet the full demand. Dmitry's reputation grew into something legendary. He was the invincible king of cybercrime. He was so confident in his anonymity that he publicly offered $10 million of his own money to anyone who could identify him. He believed he was a ghost in the machine, protected by layers of encryption and the geopolitical shield of the Russian state. However, Dmitry made 3 fatal mistakes. The first was a lapse in basic operational security, an act of pure human normalcy. One Tuesday morning, he used a delivery app to order a pizza. It seemed insignificant, but the digital breadcrumbs of that transaction, combined with a specific IP address used to access a data center in Amsterdam, gave investigators the first crack in his armor. The second mistake occurred 47 days later. Flushed with arrogance, he tested his access to a major financial target far too early, leaving a signature beacon that a high-level cyber intelligence unit managed to intercept and trace. The third mistake was the deepest. He began to cheat his own people. While publicly claiming he only took a 20% cut, internal records would later reveal that Dmitry had built hidden backdoors into his own software. If a ransom was particularly large, he would secretly hijack the negotiation, redirect the payment to his own wallets, and leave the affiliate with nothing. He was stealing from the world's most dangerous criminals. This greed created internal friction, and leaks began to flow out of the organization and into the hands of the FBI and the UK's National Crime Agency, NCA. February 19, 2024 marked the beginning of the end, or so the world thought. In a massive operation codenamed Operation Kronos, police units across 7 countries executed a digital blitzkrieg. They didn't just seize servers, they decapitated the monster. They took control of LockBit's primary dark web portal and replaced it with a message that sent shockwaves through the underground. This site is now under the control of law enforcement. The investigators didn't stop there. They hijacked the countdown timers. Instead of leaking victim data, the timers counted down to the release of LockBit's internal secrets. They published the names of affiliates, logs of private chats, and even snippets of the master source code. For a few days, the world celebrated. The deadliest ransomware in history was supposedly finished. But in his apartment in Voronezh, Dmitry was far from defeated. He had anticipated a strike. Using the insurance policy bug he had hidden in his code years earlier, he activated a series of dormant, segmented backup servers that the FBI hadn't found. On February 24, just 5 days after the total takedown, a new LockBit address appeared. Dmitry was back. He launched LockBit 4, a more paranoid, decentralized version of his empire. To prove he was still a threat, he listed the FBI itself as a victim on his new site, a bold, albeit fake, piece of propaganda designed to maintain his brand. But the pressure was mounting. On May 7, 2024, the United States unsealed a massive indictment, naming Dmitry Khoroshev as the mastermind behind LockBit. They sanctioned him, freezing every asset he held in Western banks. More importantly, they put a $10 million bounty on his head. History shows that when the FBI puts a $10 million price tag on a person, they are usually captured or killed within 2 months. Yet as the months passed, Dmitry remained free. He didn't flee to a tropical island or hide in a bunker. He stayed in Voronezh. He was seen by neighbors tending to his garden and living a quiet, suburban life. The reason is the grim reality of modern geopolitics. Russia does not extradite its citizens to the West, especially those who target Western infrastructure. To the Kremlin, men like Dmitry are sometimes seen as national assets, deniable weapons in a cold war of code. As long as he stays within the borders of Russia, he is untouchable. This brings us back to the June 2024 attack on the Federal Reserve. It was Dmitry's ultimate middle finger to the world. By targeting the heart of the U.S. financial system, he was proving that no amount of bounties or indictments could stop him. The Federal Reserve hack was a masterclass in psychological warfare. Whether he truly possessed the 33 terabytes or was simply using a smaller breach at a contractor to create a massive bluff, the damage was done. He forced the U.S. government to acknowledge him. He ridiculed their $50,000 counteroffer as insulting, signaling that he wasn't just after the money anymore, he was after the status. He has become a digital warlord, a man who dictates terms to superpowers from a keyboard in a country that will never hand him over. Dmitry Khoroshev remains the living embodiment of the new face of conflict, a world where one man, fueled by caffeine and code, can hold the entire global economy at gunpoint, and there isn't a single thing the traditional world can do to stop him.